Next on MLR Weekly, CEO Pete Sickle of Rugby Football Club Los Angeles, Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News on the Charlotte franchise, and John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning with everything else Major League Rugby. Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. To MLR Weekly as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City. Thank you for joining us again, and a belated Happy New Year if you didn't get it from us last week. This week, though, we have another great show. We have the CEO of Rugby Football Club Los Angeles, Pete Sickle. We have Bryan Ray coming back because we got a lot of stuff about the roster for the new team in Charlotte. And before we get to any of that, we have our recurring segment, Rugby Morning's Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick. John, welcome back. How are you? What do you got?
Hey, Matt. It's been raining and snowing, cats and dogs and hawks in New York City the past few days, yet it's always sunny in Philadelphia. How is that?
That's amazing. Yeah. But Hawks, you bring up the Hawks, raining Hawks, not here, but in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the MLR 2024 season has added another team, a franchise, and it's backed by World Rugby, and it's rife with USA Rugby prospects. What do you think of this, John?
Matt, I'm all for it. I'm excited about it. You know, the timing is a little irregular, considering they have to go back and release a new schedule, but hey, USA Rugby and World Rugby putting money where their mouth is and propping up USA Rugby to make sure they have a good showing at 2027 and 2031. So let's roll.
You know what? You should, of all people, not be dismissing being irregular. Next!
Well, Matt, speaking of regular, this is not a good segue, but NOLA Gold, they revealed their 2024 roster. Of course, we know it includes Teofilo Fido, or Ed Fido, but one notable omission is flanker Andrew Guerra. Now, you may recall we last saw him on the field back in September of 2021 when the men's Eagles played the All Blacks. He broke his lower left leg, trying to come back, but he was not on that roster released by NOLA Gold, and it sounds like he is considering his future. So, Andrew, wherever you are, man, we wish you the best. We hope we can see you again on the pitch.
Yeah, I got to see him in Chicago, and I used to work in Chicago, but that's a separate story. But I got to see him in Chicago at the final. Great guy, looked to be physically fit, mentally. He said he was ready. Rooting for you, Andrew. Next!
Yeah, how about Rugby FC Los Angeles, whose logo kind of looks like your head?
Amongst other things, and we have the CEO, Pete Sickle, waiting in the wings, so watch your mouth. Yeah. Rifkla.
And it does look like other things. The logo is kind of small if you get where I'm going. But they confirmed the signing of New York Ironworkers center Jason Emery, who, of course, they required in the player dispersal draft. Things are heating up for LA.
Solid player, and he can also kick for points. Next!
Matt, Christmas may be over, but Kissmas is almost here. That's right. MLR, these new MLR team kits, I'm excited to see them. Matt, in your humble opinion, what goes into a good-looking rugby jersey?
Less is more. Less is more. And I want to be able to read the number on the back of the jersey, not have it disappear in a hoop, and not be able to tell a 6, an 8, a 9, a 3 from each other. Next!
What about names on the back of jerseys? Are you in favor?
As long as they're not like the Austin Gogronis when they were peeling off their backs in the first three minutes of the match. But yes, we need to put the names on the jerseys to build stars and tell a kid, so a kid can go buy the number 12 jersey with McCarthy on it, or the number 3 jersey with McCarthy on it, or the number 1 jersey with McCarthy on it, or the number 15 jersey with McCarthy on it. You get the gist. Next!
Matt, you've certainly played all the positions. I'm surprised you haven't played around at hooker or with hooker. But
I played hooker in sevens. Next!
Matt, last but not least here, and I'm sure you're going to talk about it with Bryan Ray, but I'm excited to hear all about this Hawks program and new season schedule. That is all I got. A rough start for episode 2 in 2024, but I'll pull it together. I don't know about you.
All right, fair enough. Thank you to John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning for this week's coffee break. John, we'll see you next time. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you after this break with CEO of the LA RFC or the RFC LA, depending on your perspective, right after this.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. All right, we're back with Pete Sickle, the CEO of the Rugby Football Club Los Angeles, known as RFC.
Yeah, RFC LA, RFC Los Angeles. The fans will decide what we're called, but
I don't care what you call it, Pete, because you got the thing off the ground, and there was we've had all kinds of speculation, we've had stuff circulating, we've had teams drop out, but here you are, alive and well in Los Angeles. Is that accurate?
It's happening. The boys are starting to arrive, getting settled into some preseason apartments. We're really excited to get things going. Starting next week, we'll start doing all the preseason stuff, and guys are on Zooms figuring out attack plans. It's all happening.
Rugby Football Club Los Angeles, and I give you a little bit of a hard time with the acronym pronunciation. There's some stuff going on about the logo too out there, and people are in a G-rated fashion are saying it's my head. At least that's what John Fitzpatrick is saying. It's shaped like a bald guy. But
I can't control what people think of when they see things, but the outline is an acorn, and we're trying to combine a couple of things in our logo, and logos that try to do too much run into trouble. Logos that don't do enough run into trouble. But we want to give solid props to kind of traditions of Southern California, traditions of rugby, but also want to be looking forward and being innovative and creative. The oak tree is something that's a feature of Southern California. Sherman Oaks, Thousand Oaks, Encino is actually a Spanish word for oak tree. So, there aren't as many oak trees now as there used to be, but it's a standard elements of Southern California about, solidity and strength and longevity and nurturing and all those things that for us, represent some of the core values of rugby as well. And then, RFC is rugby football been around longer than Football Association. So we're now at, 200 years and into 201st year of rugby football. And we wanted to make sure that we were, sort of paying tribute to the long, glorious history of rugby. And the style of the logo has elements of kind of the golden age of Hollywood and Art Deco. But when we put it all together, we do think that it's something new. It's looking forward. We're all about growth, and then that comes back to the acorn as well. What we're planting now will be around for a long, long time and be a source of strength and stability and nourishment for rugby fans in Southern California and hopefully farther afield.
Walk us through the process, because I know it's the Atlanta team, Rugby ATL, basically moving to Los Angeles, but it wasn't that easy. And you were in charge of working with the Tel Aviv Heat. Walk us through how, in a snap of a finger, you got to where you are now.
Sort of over a year ago, there were some talks going back, the LA franchise after, you know, the Giltinis departed, and that didn't quite work out. But yeah, there was interest in LA. It's a fantastic sports town. It's a fantastic, Southern California is a fantastic rugby environment. And so, yeah, we had a lot of interest in making sure that MLR had good representation in Los Angeles, and that Los Angeles had a professional rugby team. We think it's a fantastic fit. The discussion actually happened with, by chance, meeting with somebody over a coffee in London in June.
Wow.
And the discussion...
David Barry?
It was David Barry.
Am I good or what?
You're good. You're good. So, you know, there was discussion about LA and how that could work. And he brought up Atlanta, and the discussion was, well, we'd be interested if there was a possibility of relocating it to LA. And that was the end of June. And so that touched off what, you know, what we understood was Atlanta was not going to be participating in the 24 season unless they found a buyer. And until that point, I think there had been some expressions of interest, but no offer had come forward in a serious enough fashion to preserve the team in Atlanta. Our intention was not to move a team, and the owners had been running Atlanta in 22 and 23. We're trying to keep the team in Atlanta, but at that point of the summer of 23, the best option available for both sides was to move the team. So, you know, I know that was a bitter pill still is a bitter pill for lots of supporters of the ATL. It's really hard to lose a team, especially after all they had, all the blood, sweat, and tears and passion and love that people in Atlanta had poured into that team. I know it's hard, and it wasn't our intention to inflict any kind of pain. The way we see it is either that team was going to dissolve the way that we've just seen with Toronto and New York, or we could give it new life in LA.
Who's the hierarchy? I know there's a couple of Hollywood big shots, big shot types in there. So who's who? Who can you tell us about?
Yeah, we are still putting together. We are still building out bits of the ownership team, and so we are still teasing you and others, but we want to announce it once that group is more fully fleshed out. But let's put it this way:
is The Rock involved?
Not that I'm aware of, but I haven't checked my email this morning.
Right, so there's a chance.
Yeah, no, there are people, you know, Jason Momoa, there were a few people showing up at the World Cup in France that we would expect them to be fans of RFC LA.
This is Mr. Sullivan. He represents Prestige Fighting Alliance, Kona's league.
Yeah, well, you got an uphill battle on this one.
I don't think so, big guy. Copies of the membership card swipes from the gym Mr. Kona was at last night.
Someone else could have swiped his card.
Video on these tapes was taken from the gym surveillance cameras, showing exactly when Mr. Kona arrived and left.
We still got him for battery.
We'll see if somewhere down the road they want to join the ownership group, but no, we feel that we're in a very strong position in the sense of trying to put a group together that has deep roots in LA. That has strong expertise, not only in rugby, in sports more broadly, and in entertainment. Because ultimately, I think the future of MLR, we have to tap into people who already love the game and who have grown up playing it and follow it and so on. But to thrive, to really
you also need some business types and some sports entertainment business types. And my intel tells me that you have that. You have those boxes checked.
I think we're going to be in good shape there. Yeah. So yeah, we have to figure out a way to engage fans and bring people into the rugby tent. And so there we want to make sure that people who have really good backgrounds, expertise, networks in entertainment and in marketing and in promotion and branding are there from the get-go.
You mentioned your partners. AEG, right? Because you're playing at Dignity Health Sports Park.
We are very, very fortunate to be playing in one of the best rugby venues in the States. We're really, really fortunate not only to be playing in an AEG facility, but we're going to be working with AEG on ticketing and with their AXS platform and their knowledge and expertise and networks in Southern California through the Galaxy and the Kings and crypto.com and they anything that and certainly again entertainment and music. So we can't think of a better partner in terms of how to give a fantastic world-class fan experience at matches. We're excited that our first round, our first home game will be at the conclusion of the HSBC Sevens that first weekend of March. We kick off on Sunday the 3rd after the conclusion of the HSBC Sevens. So there will already be thousands and thousands of excited rugby fans at Dignity Health.
All right, hold on. Now, this is the cliffhanger, but we got to get to it because we're running out of time. So your home weekend opens during the LA Sevens, and you're on for that Sunday.
Yep.
Are we going to be playing right after inside the same stadium, or are you going to have fans are they going to be asked to leave like a bad MLB doubleheader where they kick the fans out for a nuke set, especially when the Mets are lost their last 70 games and we're getting kicked out? Or are you going to how are we working this?
Yeah. The details are still being worked out. HSBC Sevens is a World Rugby property, so they have control over the event itself. AEG is working hand in hand with World Rugby to fulfill their needs. So we are still working out some of the details about exactly how it'll work. World Rugby has been tweaking their plans for that weekend of Sevens. So there still isn't a final version of the HSBC Sevens, but our expectation is as soon as the Sevens finishes the final championship game, we'll switch over into pregame mode for MLR. Then in April 27th, we'll play a doubleheader with the USA Women's against Canada.
That's cool.
And then, we're excited to reignite the Freeway Series between San Diego Legion and RFC Los Angeles. We think that's going to be a great rivalry over the years. So we host them Memorial Day weekend, Sunday, May 26th. So we expect those, we'd like to pack the place every game, but if we really look at the games that we expect to draw kind of an extra element, those are kind of the three highlights, I would say, of our home calendar.
All right. So what's success for the team?
The strong rugby community that's already in Southern California. But, as we all know, when friends of ours who didn't grow up with the game come out to an MLR game, they love it because it's a different level. You get to meet the players after the game. It's accessible in a way that going to an NBA or Major League Baseball game or an NFL game isn't. They have their own level of spectacle and production value. I think for rugby, it's something that's more authentic and accessible and about community.
So what's the relationship with the Tel Aviv Heat? Is there a reciprocal relationship? Any relationship? What's there?
Yeah, so we see lots of opportunities for an alliance. We have a number of players who have been with the Tel Aviv Heat who are under contract with LA. So some of the better players who have been playing with the Tel Aviv Heat in Europe over the last couple of seasons will be wearing an LA jersey. We have a 9-10 combination, Niall Saunders and Jordy Chiat, that, have been playing together. It'll be nice to see them to continue. And then Semi Kunatani at 8, who had a fantastic season this past year with Tel Aviv, will be in LA. So On the player level, there is some crossover. The guys who have been playing together in Tel Aviv will be playing together in LA. But no, on a formal level, the two teams don't overlap at all in terms of schedule or anything else. So, we hope that fans of one team now have another team to get behind and support. Yeah,
that's cool. Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Pete Sickle, the CEO of the Rugby Football Club Los Angeles.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Likewise. We'll be right back with Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News after this.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? We're back with Austin Elite fan Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News. Bryan, welcome back to MLR Weekly.
Hey, great to be here again, and another eventful week there, Mr. McCarthy.
Bryan, what are we talking about? What do you got? We got to be talking about Charlotte.
Well, that's where I'm hanging out here, so I hope we're talking about that. This beautiful city in the background here. What a great place to play rugby.
So, what do you make of all this?
I think it's amazing news for USA Rugby, and I don't understand how I've seen some odd comments online, so to speak. People say, oh well, they're rushing this out, the team's got to get smashed and blah blah, this and that. And I can't understand that. This is an opportunity, a golden opportunity. Why would you waste 1 second in making this happen? So they have to rejig the schedule again a couple days in you know what? It's already been such a tumultuous offseason. Make the change. You get a 12th team. It's the best thing for American rugby we've heard probably in a while. I mean, this is a big deal. I didn't think this was possible. Did you?
I didn't, and I'm with you 100%. Any of you idiots out there that are criticizing this deal, yeah, I'm saying idiots because this is my show, and I can't get canceled from anything. So, in your face. World Rugby finally coming around and recognizing MLR owners as the people that perhaps have been spending a ton of money on American rugby and Canada, Canadian rugby and American rugby, right? In the 7 years or 6 years that we've had so far, what, 700 million collectively? So instead of putting a professional team from Glendale and Vancouver into Super Rugby Americas, they have finally seen the light, and kudos to Alan Gilpin and World Rugby for making this happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, anybody who follows me on social media or anywhere knows I'm very, very critical of a lot of what World Rugby does. You're
pretty much everything you're critical.
Yeah, pretty much everything. All you can do this time is say, thank you, job well done. I mean, they're saying, okay, this is what you want. Scott Lawrence, I know this was on his wish list. This has his fingerprints written all over it. Say, all right, you think this is going to work? We've maybe criticized MLR in the past, but maybe we were wrong. Maybe this wasn't the right way. So let's go with what you want to do. And you have to give credit to the MLR owners as well, because they're picking up a significant portion of this tag as well. And they're allowing us. I mean, I didn't think, frankly, that the owners would ever allow a team run by effectively, a national organization within. I mean, this team is going to operate completely differently from everybody else. Their number one, the thing is for them to play American players. It's not some giant commercial entity. We have to worry about this and that. No, this is our main function is to develop American players. So to
Isn't
have
that what the Arrows were?
No.
Come on.
No, they weren't. They weren't.
They were built to feed the New England Free Jacks.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Touche. So, I just didn't think this was possible. It seemed to be that the option was, if you wanted a team like this, it had to be in the Super Rugby's Americas thing. So to see it in MLR, I mean, it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? You're building up your own competition and you're developing this to me ticks all the boxes. So yeah, huge thumbs up for me.
Are we going to get like a pie in the face at some point? Is this is all are we being punked? Is anybody still a thing?
Hey, man, I mean, you've talked to people, I've talked to people. We know this is happening. We actually know that players have signed with the team. We've been privy to kind of there's a list going around of some players who've been selected.
May or may not have seen the list, ladies and gentlemen.
We may have seen the list. I think this team is, obviously not all the players in that list are going to end up there, but this team is going to end up better, I think, than some of these naysayers think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be losing 100-0. And even if they do have a couple 50-0 losses to start, who cares? This program is only going to go upwards from here. So I just think that, I can't say it enough that this is a huge win for American rugby. Yeah, if I have one complaint, it's the same one that everyone from my country is. Where's our Canadian team? Throw us a bone here. You know what I mean?
Hey,
that's my only complaint.
Maybe this is the precedent. Maybe this is the pathway to that. Maybe this is what happens, and maybe it's a team in Vancouver where the weather isn't as prohibitive as it is in Toronto, perhaps. And you already have Seattle right there as a rival. And you got that West Coast now, chock full of San Diego and LA, and then Utah's not too, so there might be some synergy here. I'm the two of us were as down as two people could have been in the last month. And now both of us are, it's got to be right, folks, if the two of us are this giddy about it. I'm giddy about it.
I'm a professional curmudgeon, and I'm excited about this. And I'm a Canadian, and I'm excited for American rugby that this is happening. So anybody who's saying those things like, we should have waited next year. Why would you waste a year?
No.
Why?
World Rugby, hey, listen, man, World Rugby, they're showing that they actually give a rat's ass about us.
Yes.
And they're recognizing it. And they're recognizing it, the effort by these MLR owners that have been hemorrhaging cash. And if my intel is right, it's like a 4-year commitment, and they're not going to take equity in the league. And then at that point, if the owners have an investor that want to take it over, so be it.
Man, this kind of really just turns the tables on this whole offseason, which has been so messy. Like you said, it's been utterly depressing for all of December. And then to get this kind of bolt from the blue, I just think it's such a great pick me up. And this, other people have said this to me. I'm stealing this comment, that this really is the story of the season.
On that note, Bryan, I want to thank you, Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News. I want to thank John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning and Mr. Pete Sickle, the CEO of the RFC LA Riftclef. And thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including the critically acclaimed The Rugby Odds. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please join our American Red Cross Blood Donor Team.